Okay, you just got a brand new EMF meter. You're walking around your house. You're not sure what settings to use. You're not sure exactly what the numbers mean. And you either panic or you shrug. Neither one is helpful. But in this video, I'm going to talk to you about the 3 types of EMF radiation you need to know, what setting to use for what, and exactly what to do with that information. I'm Jaron. I run EMF Academy, and I've been doing this for more than a decade. No fear mongering, just helpful information. Let's get started. Oftentimes, EMF radiation gets lumped into a single category, but it's really 3 different types of radiation. There's magnetic field radiation, electric field radiation, and radio frequency radiation. Radio frequency radiation is what you hear the most about because it's potentially the most harmful and it can travel the furthest. Radio frequency radiation is anytime information is being sent wirelessly. Think your cell phone, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, smart meters, 5G towers, all of that information that's flying around your home, around your neighborhood, around your office is doing so with radio frequency radiation. But your EMF meter can measure all 3 types of EMF radiation, assuming that it can measure radio frequency like the TriField TF2. Magnetic radiation is going to be anything with electricity flowing through it. Think appliances, motors, power lines. Electric radiation is going to be anything with wiring. Anything that's plugged in, whether it's on or off, is going to emit some electrical field radiation. Think the wiring in your home, the wiring in your electronics. And then, like I said, radio frequency is going to be anything where wireless information or connection is being transmitted. Those are the 3 types of EMF radiation. A quick rule of thumb, if it has electricity flowing through it, test for electric or magnetic field radiation. If it's wireless, test for radio frequency radiation. All right, now you know what the 3 types of EMF radiation are and what setting to use for what. Now let's talk a little bit about the display and how to use it. This is the TriField TF2. It's one of my favorite and most recommended EMF meters. It's great for beginners. You can see that there's a standard and a weighted measurement. I'll talk about that in just a second. But there's magnetic, electric, and radio frequency. And all you have to do to adjust those is change this dial. On the screen here, you can see the current reading, that's this number here. Right now we're in radio frequency, so it's in milliwatts per meter squared. And then up here is the peak number. That's going to be the highest number that it's recorded in the last few seconds. That's going to be especially important for radio frequency radiation because radio frequency radiation is typically sent in packets, meaning bursts. So you can see that this number is almost always higher than this number. This number is going to be far more accurate and informative for radio frequency radiation. Now you can see that for magnetic and electric, they're both standard and weighted. And this is something that trips people up all the time, standard versus weighted. For most people and for most beginners, I recommend that you just stick with standard because that's going to be the raw information that you're reading and it's going to be the easiest to use. What weighted does is it weights, it gives more emphasis towards higher frequencies because higher frequencies cause greater electrical currents in our bodies. They affect our bodies more. So that is important, and I'll make some videos in the future about how to interpret that information. But standard is going to be a lot easier to use, a lot easier to understand, and a lot easier to compare your readings before and after you make changes. And that's just going to be a lot more helpful and informative. So for the most part, for magnetic and electric, I would stick to standard when you're measuring things in your home, when you're making changes. And then for radio frequency radiation, there is no standard, there is no weighted. You're just going to use RF. But the important thing to remember is that when you're measuring radio frequency radiation, and obviously I have some electronics going on right now, this peak number is going to be a lot more informative and a lot more helpful than this number. Here's my advice. Use standard, measure magnetic, measure electric, measure radio frequency in all the spaces that you spend the most time in your bedroom, in your office, on your couch, wherever you're spending a lot of time. Now, what are you really looking for when you're measuring these things? Well, for magnetic radiation, a low EMF home, typically in the spaces that you spend the most time, you're going to want to see that under 3 milligauss. For electric, it's going to be measured in volts per meter, and the areas that you're going to be spending the most time, you're going to want to see that under 10. And for radio frequency radiation, the reality is you want that as low as possible. Now, the goal isn't to get to 0 for most of these things. That's not really possible in a modern home, in a modern workplace, in a modern environment. But we want to get those numbers as low as possible. And that's what an EMF meter is going to allow us to do. All right, now you know a little bit about how to use your EMF meter, what settings to use for what. Now it's time to use it. Go to the places that you spend the most time, your bedroom, where you sleep, your couch, your office, your car, the places that you are spending a lot of time every day. Those are your chronic exposures. Take your EMF meter in standard mode, magnetic and electric. Get readings. Get readings where you sleep, get readings where you sit, and make notes of those. What did you get for magnetic, for electric, for radio frequency? And then look around. Where do you think that those frequencies and those radiation sources might be? Is there a cell phone right next to where you sleep? Is there a baby monitor nearby? Is there a Wi-Fi router in your home? Is there a smart meter right on the other side of the wall from where you're sleeping? Those are the things that are really going to matter. Write down measurements in those spaces so that when you make changes, when you move that Wi-Fi router, when you sleep not next to your cell phone, when you move electronics away from the spaces that you spend the most time, then you can remeasure and see if it really made a difference. See if it lowered those amounts. That's what your EMF meter will allow you to do. And that's what will actually allow your EMF meter and this information to make a real impact and a real difference in your life. Okay, like I said, this is a beginner's guide, so it's quick. But now you know how to use your EMF meter, what settings to use, what to look for, and what to do with that information. Now I want to quickly talk about 5 mistakes that I see most beginners make. Number 1, using the wrong mode. If you have your EMF meter set to magnetic or electric field radiation and you're trying to measure the radio frequency radiation from your cell phone, if you're trying to measure a Wi-Fi tower outside or a smart meter, you're going to get nothing or almost nothing, and the information is not going to be useful. Remember, if it has wiring, whether it's on or off, think electrical. For magnetic, think things with motors, appliances, things like that. If it has power, and you're wanting to measure that, think electric or magnetic field radiation. If it's transmitting wirelessly, think radio frequency radiation. Number 2, not rotating the meter. And this is something that I see trip people up all the time. For magnetic field radiation, in this setting, this meter and many other meters are tri-axis. That means it doesn't matter how it's oriented, it just matters how close to the source of radiation it is. But for electric, and especially for radio frequency radiation, it is directional. It needs to be pointed at the device. If you have a cell phone, it needs to be pointed at that cell phone. If you're trying to test the Wi-Fi in your home, it needs to be pointed at the Wi-Fi in your home. If you're not doing this, you're not going to be getting accurate measurements. Mistake number 3, not using the peak number, especially when you're measuring for radio frequency radiation. Remember that radio frequency radiation is sent in packets. It does so in bursts. So when your cell phone connects to your carrier, when your smart meter sends information to your electricity or other utility company, when information is flying around your home, it's doing that in packets. It's doing that in bursts. It's not a consistent level. So when you're taking measurements and when you're writing things down, this is going to be the important number for radio frequency radiation, not this one. Mistake number 4, trying to get to 0. And this is a mistake I see people make all the time. You get a brand new EMF meter, you're measuring things in your home, and you're not really sure what the information means, but you just start to panic and you're thinking, I can't have this radiation around me. That's really not a possibility in today's day and age. You can see as I'm showing here and as I'm using electronics to make this video, there is radio frequency radiation around me. The goal isn't to get to 0. That's not really possible, and it's not really realistic, and it's not really helpful advice for me to tell you to not have electronics, to not have Wi-Fi, to not use all the conveniences in and around your life. The goal isn't to get to 0, it's to reduce your exposure, especially in the places that you spend the most time, in your bed, on your couch, in your car, the places that are chronic exposures for you. Those are the places we just want to lower it. We want to lower the radio frequency radiation. We want to move the cell phone away or put it in airplane mode. We want to turn the Wi-Fi router off at night. We want to not sleep right next to a smart meter. There's lots of things we can do really quickly, really easily, for free, that can lower our overall exposure. And that's what we want to do. Not get to 0, just lower it in the places we spend the most time. Mistake number 5, not using your EMF meter. And I see this all the time. You get a brand new EMF meter, you're so excited, you walk around your home, you get some measurements, maybe you haven't seen this video and you're not quite sure how to use it, and you're confused, you shrug, you think, I'll come back to this later, and you never do. Or you do take measurements. You watched this video or you saw other information and you take some measurements in your bedroom, on your couch, in your office, in your car, at your workplace, and you see the numbers, but you don't actually make any changes. You don't move things away, change how things are set up, reduce your radiation overall, and then come back and take measurements again and see and feel that you made a difference. That's a mistake I see people make all the time, not really using their EMF meter or using the information they get from it. Okay, Now you know a little bit more about how to use your EMF meter. You know the 5 beginner's mistakes to avoid. Now go do it. Now go use your EMF meter, whether it's this one, whether it's another one, whether you borrow one from a friend, whether you buy one. No matter what, find an EMF meter, measure the places that you spend the most time, and make some changes, and then measure again. If you found this video helpful, I would love for you to subscribe. I would love for you to follow. I would love for you to leave a comment, ask a question. I do research-based, honest EMF education without the fear-mongering. And if that's something that you're interested in, check out emfacademy.com. I have full guides on how you can reduce the radiation in your life, more information on how to measure EMF radiation, and just about anything else that you could need. I hope you found this helpful. I'll see you next time.